because when we stops is when you're reading and you suddenly didn't understand what you were reading. You continue reading, but you know that you're going to sleep. It's because the cranial sacral rhythm has stopped. And also when you see the children that do jerky movements, it's because they are releasing the tensions of the day because of that. So the first way that I saw coherence is because what we do when we meditate, well, what we do when we relax is we breathe at our cranial rhythm. We bring the breathing, slow down the breathing to match our cranial breathing. Means that if you have 6 cycles per minute of cranial rhythm, you can breathe at 6 cycles per minute, but you can't breathe at 5. Okay? So you match first your breathing to your cranial rhythm, and then you start to enter into alpha state. Then you stop the cranial rhythm. If you are, it stops for a few minutes. This everybody that knows cranial knows this. What I'm going to tell you is something else. If you are lying down, you'll fall asleep. But if you're sitting up, sitting straight, meditation, you enter into alpha state, delta, theta in your brain waves, and you actually get into an altered state of consciousness because of the cranial rhythm and all of them, and the breathing being the same, and this energy going through the spine, and then you can enter into different states by stopping it and not falling asleep. So that's anything that has to do with involuntary movement, things like cardiac attack or things. Involuntary actions of your body are also at the same time as a cranial sacral rhythm. That is all that they are teaching in the schools here, but the connection that has with the coherence and the meditation states is something that I'm bringing to the cranial, but it's also something that we all experience when we do cranial, because time-space changes. And it's a very amazing therapy that I have always used with my prism techniques. I had a school and I had all the people around me to make sure that nothing would happen. So going back to the voice, you have a very coherent voice with different colors belonging to different notes, which I'll address that in a little while. But what we have down here is you see the violet is the highest one, but if you see the 2 lines of red, if you put them together, you have the same amount. It would be as tall as the violet in the center. So that's what it means, that we have the same amount of all the colors, of all the vibrations, but they're not in the same 1 octave, they're in 2 octaves. They're in 2 places, you see. So there's only one color or 1 note that does the tall one. The other ones, if you sum this with this, the yellow bar here with the yellow bar here, it will be as tall as that. So that is what the bell curve tells us of the sun. So in reality, it's just waves within waves that are resonant to each other, like we've found out from chemistry just now, which was wonderful. And that when one wave fits inside another one, it shoots up to more amplitude, and that's what is called, when we hear harmonics, that's what they're trying to avoid in live performances, because that's when the speakers suddenly go wild and do strange sounds. So they have that totally controlled now with microphones for live performances. So Leonard Horowitz has said, 1/3 of the sensory motor cortex of the brain is devoted to the tongue, oral cavity, the lips, and speech. In other words, oral frequency emissions, spoken or sung, exert powerful control over life, vibrating genes that influence total well-being and even evolution of the species. So, most important is speech, sound, and light, color that goes through the eyes. I will try to tell you what is the difference, or what I have found the difference between one and the other. So anyway, I'll address that in a little while. So we see here, we do a voice analysis of the voice. We record the voice, and we have these colors coming out relating musical notes to colors. So we have the person that's talking in monotone here is talking in 3 musical notes, or 2, and doesn't have the others. It's talking in monotone. When we are sick, we talk like this. We don't know how long this person has been talking like that, but we want to at least talk like what is in the right side, that we have of all the colors. Not so perfect as we saw before, but this is very good too. We still have the same note, the same color in excess, and we have probably the complementary colors as weak, but at least you can see the difference between one voice and the other. And then we have, this is again a very coherent voice, and we have a chromatic grid here with the 12 musical notes, here, and the 7 octaves of the piano. And this is immediately, it gives you where the fundamental frequencies are of the voice. So there's the frequencies that come from the vocal cords, and this, when we say vowel sounds. Consonant sounds deform the vowel sounds, but the pure sounds are the vowel sounds. So we can find out also which vowel sounds is in excess. When we find out that when you say e or a, in Spanish is pure sounds, or a, and that one is always giving you the excess note, your brain always finds those words with those vocal sounds, because that's what you have the tendency to. So anyway, this is another very, very imbalanced voice, and this is another very balanced voice on the top. It's obvious that a person that has this voice is not feeding all the glands, all the organs. His body is not going at maximum speed, at maximum vitality. Meanwhile, on the top it is. And what I have found out is that enthusiasm is what brings more this type of coherence when we're enthusiastic, when we have a voice like when we are more children, when we have the little voice, the voice goes a little higher. So, what we have to know is that waves are all over us, all over the place, they're all around us. And the strange thing is that, or the amazing thing, is that our brain goes really fast. We could say maybe close to the speed of light at some times. But meanwhile, we are measuring very slow infrasound waves of beta, alpha. Beta we could hear, because we could start hearing at 16 cycles per second, which means 16 times something moving in a second, 16 times of movement. So we have beta, we have alpha, which goes, here it says 9 from 13, sometimes we said from 8 to 16, but so then theta even less, 4 to 8. So a wave of 16 hertz is as big as almost half of this room sideways. That is as big an alpha wave. So when our brain goes in mostly alpha, what we're doing is we're creating with Mother Earth our room to be, our place to fall asleep, because it's as big as a room. Meanwhile, theta and delta, and theta is as big as a house, and delta is as big as maybe you look around and you feed of all the colors that are around in your environment. So the amazing thing is that those are the waves of the earth, and our brain is connected to them. And what we are doing, if we're really the neurons of the earth, we make her very nervous in many areas of the planet. We're really making her very nervous. We go to sleep, but then we are unconscious. We're not conscious. So when we actually bring down our waves to alpha and we don't fall asleep, it's like we're helping her. We are contacting her, and we are helping her to that area, at least she can relax. So that's why when we do some gatherings together of whatever type or style of relaxing meditation, whatever we want to call it, we're really contacting the Mother Earth, and we are actually helping her to feel free and relaxed in that area. So infrasound is the waves of the brain that connect with the waves, the Schumann resonance, and Schumann resonance now is going faster than before. But the frequencies and the waves of our voice are the size of our body. If we open our legs, women maybe have a wave that goes from the legs to around the legs. It will be 70 hertz, 70 cycles per second. Men maybe could go up down to 50 cycles per second.